Hi everyone, welcome back to Almost Normal. When I was 14, I had a vast range of interests. And these included, number one, smoking cigarettes in the back alleys of London with my friends. 2, trying to find alcohol vendors who would serve us with no ID. 3, finding clubs that would let us in with no ID. 4, boys, and 5, friends. Okay, these were the only things that I ever thought about, okay? Every waking moment of my life, I would be thinking about one of these 5 things. From the minute I woke up to the minute I went to bed, I would be obsessing over at least one of these things, if not all of them at the same time. That was me as a 14-year-old girl. I based my entire existence on the movie 13, which, if you haven't seen it, you should. It's a true work of art. Honestly, it's great. But I think it's safe to say that anyone who's basing their life on that life model should not be trusted to make any momentous life decisions. I think if you watch that, you will agree with me. I don't think anyone will say, oh no, that person had their head screwed on properly. Yeah. No, I would trust that person with my taxes. Like, absolutely not. I thought into the future, probably an hour max into the future was sort of my thinking, you know? I didn't have any real career goals or anything like that. I was a 14-year-old girl, okay? I was just a menace to society and I loved it that way. I fucking loved it that way. That was just my life, okay? I really was not considering anything serious. Boys that I kissed, I was not thinking I was going to marry them. Like, I just, I was a kid, whatever. I was a fucking kid. Be that as it may, I grew up in England, in London, and the British education system, to me, and to be honest, it might have changed a bit since I was in school, but I don't know. But to me, the British education system, at least the one I went through, is kind of weird. I don't know the American British. I don't know the American education system at all. So if anyone went to high school in America, please comment below and let me know if it's the same or different. I'm quite curious. But all I know is how the British one worked, and how that worked was this. For the last 4 years of high school, you did 2 years of something called GCSEs, and then the next 2 years you did something called A-Levels. And GCSEs start when you're 14. This is the chance for you to start knocking off subjects from your itinerary that you feel you are no longer interested in and no longer want to pursue, okay? At 14, like I had any idea what I wanted to pursue. So I think for your GCSEs, you do about 6 subjects. So that's knocking off a significant amount. I think at this point you had to do English. I think you had to do at least 1 science. And maths, maybe, I'm not even 100% sure about that, but you were allowed to make some quite big decisions at that point. And then you did that from 14 to 16. And then at 16, you start doing something called your A-Levels. A-Levels for the first year, you do 4 subjects, okay? So for me, I did history of art, philosophy, and design and technology. Then for the second year of A-Levels, you only do 3 subjects. So I dropped design and technology because I failed. I'm pretty sure I flopped. Yeah, I think I got an ungraded on that. So I was left with art, history of art, and philosophy. Okay. Now, you might think, Rita, these are just sort of decisions you're making in high school, whatever. But if we think further into the future from there, we'll understand that a teenager who has an A-level in history of art, and philosophy is probably not going to be getting in to medical school, let's just say, for example, medical school. So if at 18 years old, I decided, I want to be a doctor, I would have had to redo all of those exams and take sciences and maths instead of what I did. I would not have gone into medical school, let's just say that. And so because that sort of decision process really started at my GCSEs, you can say that they started to trust our judgment at 14 years old, which is crazy. If you don't have great grades in your A-Levels, it's going to be really hard to get into college. However, I, in the end, decided I did not want to go to college because I felt that my path into life had already been chosen. And because I had been doing art for so long. Once high school finished, I really felt like I was just losing my passion for it altogether. Like, I did not want to continue doing it at all. And because of my decisions at 14 years old till now, art or like history of art or anything like that was kind of the only options that I had when it came to college. And I really just had lost all my passion for it. And I knew that if I put myself in another place where people were telling me to make stuff and telling me to write stuff and read stuff and all that, I would have fucking hated it, okay? I would have just like completely not dedicated myself to it whatsoever. I would have been rebellious and angry, and I just would have had a terrible time and probably wasted a lot of money and my time and my teacher's time and just all of that. So in the end, after high school, I decided I did not want to go to college. Now, this was a very scary decision. In my high school, college was kind of advertised as the only option in order to make it in the world, to, you know, continue thriving in society. And there were no alternative routes given to us. It was never like, oh, if you don't want to go to college, here, I'll support things for this and can have a meeting about this, you know, traveling, doing this, getting a job, like da-da-da-da. There was very little of that, very little of that. We had classes, hours of classes dedicated to literally just filling out college application forms, and that's it. And you had to sit in those. So if you were someone like me who was not planning on going to college, that was pretty bleak. That was a pretty bleak couple of hours just sitting in that room, like wanting to die, because you're just like, oh, everyone else is filling out these application forms and I'm not. Like, something's wrong with me. Something's wrong with me. I also would say that the sort of measurement of success was very limited, at least what I was taught, okay? The measure of success was this. It was graduate high school with good grades, go to a great college, get great grades in college, you know, meet the love of your life in the college halls, you know, in dorms or whatever, another scholarly figure just like you, graduate college, get a great job that has something specifically to do with what you were studying in college, and have kids, get married, have kids, and do all of this probably before the age of 30, okay? That was sort of what was shown to me as what success meant, okay? So here I am at 18 years old being like, oh, I feel like I'll die if I go to college. Like, I feel like I will end my life if I go to college because I can't think of anything I want to do less, okay? I don't feel like I have passion for any of it right now, and forcing myself into it is probably a really bad idea. So I have no option other than to not do it. I would also just like to say, on the sort of allowing young people to make really big decisions for their lives, until you get to, I don't know, mid-20s, some people, mid-30s. Some people, it ranges. It can happen like very late in life. But definitely, as a teenager, you have little to no experience of life, okay? Most of us as teenagers were brought up where we were born, okay? So we had very limited ideas on the world in general. Maybe we traveled with our parents on holiday, you know, stayed in a resort or a hotel, like very limited experience of what actually goes on in the rest of the world, okay? Most of our friends were probably at the same high school as us, like mine were. I had friends from primary school and high school, and that was kind of it. So very much like in the same bubble. I was definitely not, as a teenager, going out to bars and clubs and like meeting people to be lifelong friends with, you know, I was going out clubbing and stuff, but as a teenager, you're so cliquey, you're not really going to venture off and like make great friends. You might get really drunk and like scream about with some girls in the bathroom, but like that's pretty much it. You're not going to like exchange details and like keep in touch. I mean, for me, that was not my experience as a teenager. I was not going out and like making new friends outside of my school, at least not at like 14, 15. All of the career choices I felt were available to me, had come from my parents or my professors, okay? I didn't know anyone with a job then. So understanding the vast amount of career paths you could go down, extremely limited at that point because I, again, was not going out and meeting people, and people were like, hey, I work in a printing factory, or hey, I work in food marketing. I was not aware of all these very like niche jobs one could get. It was very limiting. My knowledge of what someone could do with their life was very limited. When I was growing up, we did not have a lot of social media. I spent all of my time on the internet on Tumblr or playing Sims, okay? If I was on the computer or my phone, that's what I was doing. I would not say that social media is a good way to get experience of life, even now, okay? It's probably like honestly the worst place to find experience just because it's so like highlight reeled, like everything looks great and wonderful, and like I don't think you're really going to get proper experience of life just by like looking on Instagram or TikTok. But I will say, like, at least maybe possibly you could get some inspiration from other people about like what jobs they have, like what kind of lifestyle they live. You know, that's kind of why I love TikTok, to be honest, because you're able to see like so many different kinds of people just talking about their everyday life. And I think that's really special. But even still, I don't think that's the way to get life experience. But whatever, when I was a kid, I didn't even have that. I had Tumblr, which was basically just like memes of porn. You know, from what I remember, it was like porn and black and white photos of flowers. That was pretty much everything I saw on Tumblr. So whatever, like I had zero life experience. Like what the fuck did I know? Like why are you asking me to make any decisions for myself? I have absolutely no idea. Also, another thing I just want to say, in college in England, you only do one subject, okay? In America, because I'm here and at college now, I understand that you do like major and minor subjects. So you're able to venture out from what you originally thought you wanted to do a little bit, see different worlds and understand different things, meet different people and all of that. But in England, you only do one subject. You do not do majors and minors. So if you go for English, you will just have an array of different types of English classes. Like you won't be doing anything else. So again, like extremely limited, you know, and you have to pick one subject you did basically for A-Levels and then just only pick one of them to then do in college. So it just, for me, felt so limited. And like, I really didn't feel like I knew anything. I had no idea. I also have very artistic parents. And so I was very, very concerned that all my decisions had kind of come from them. And I really got very like flustered and anxious about that. And that is sort of also why I started to like drift away from the art world, because I just felt like I wanted my own life and I was feeling a little bit claustrophobic. So anyway, I finished high school and I decided I didn't want to go to college. And because of this sort of like measurement of success that I was told in high school, I technically had already failed at this because I had not even moved on to step 2, which is once you graduate high school, you go to college. Like I had already failed. I was already behind and I felt like a loser, okay? I felt like the biggest loser in the world. When summer ended, you know, most of my friends did go off to various places in England to go to college and I was just stuck. You know, I was at my mum's house. I spent every day sleeping and then just getting wasted at nighttime. I would just find various people to go party with. I was not doing anything productive. I think I had this pressure on me because I felt like I had already flopped. So with that mindset, I kind of gave up. It's really hard to find motivation, to do anything when you feel like you're already behind. It's really hard. It's really, really, really hard to push yourself when you feel like everyone else is already lapping you. It's kind of very easy to say fuck it and just give up and just accept defeat or whatever. And that's really how I felt. I just felt like I had flopped completely. And I just didn't see a point in trying anything, you know, because I was like still under the illusion that college was the only way to go. And I wasn't going to college and I was just lost. I was flailing. I didn't understand like what to do. I didn't understand what to do. So I ended up just drinking a lot, doing a lot of drugs, meeting very random people, being friends with very random people in London. And that was my life for like a year and a half. After a while, after like months and months of these sort of shenanigans, let's just call it, I did start to get sort of an idea that maybe college isn't 100% the only way that one can achieve things, you know, and this should seem obvious to everyone, but it was really drilled into me that that was the case, and it is not the case, okay? I'm rounding up to that point as we speak, but I just want to say, like, if you're watching this being like, what the fuck, I didn't go to college, like, am I a failure? No. Okay, no, that is not the case. That's not the case at all. And I will get there in a moment, but I'm just sharing my experience right now. I started to meet, you know, people that weren't in my high school. I started to meet people that weren't my parents or my professors and stuff like that. And probably not in the best way, just probably I could have done it with a lot less vodka. Probably would have been much more helpful to me. I probably would have done it faster. I probably wouldn't have died. I probably wouldn't have died. I probably wouldn't have almost died so many times, but you know, whatever. In the end, I learned the lesson, which is you can do other stuff and achieve things if you didn't go to college right after high school. Like you can try everything else. So I then went on this big venture, and for all my life I had been taught that everything has to be leading up to this big special goal, this big special prize at the end of the tunnel, and like you have to just sort of wade through dark waters and suffer a little bit and, you know, get through these hard times, you know, very British, like stiffen up that upper lip, like just really just power through, and by the end you will be able to retire and feel free and happy and like travel the world. Anything that ventures off the path towards this big goal is wasted time. So that's very much in sync with the idea that at 14 you start to pick certain subjects you want to look into, and then that just gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And then once you graduate college, the idea is that you'll have all this knowledge about this one specific subject that you will then be able to grow in your career department and just like get bigger and bigger in that one subject, and not veer off paths and like try and experiment or figure other things out, or like, you know, spend a year traveling and like meeting new people. Like none of that, okay? It's just like we want to just grow and grow and grow in one straight line. So anyway, after having a tiny smidgen of experience for myself outside of school, I started to see that there are other paths. And also, life is about experiencing, and life is about fucking up, making mistakes. It's not just about one thing, okay? You want to fill up your life with so many cool, fun experiences, and like, I didn't know that. When I started to get the gist a little bit when I was out of school, I decided to venture into the most random the most random jobs and like hobbies I could possibly think of. And I was completely going against this idea that you have to start from the bottom and work your way to the top, and like that's just how life is. I found jobs and hobbies at the bottom, and I just stayed at the bottom in each one and just like hopped around being the bottom of like all of these careers and stuff. So I worked as a commie chef in an Italian kitchen full of men that did not speak English, which was obviously extremely difficult for me as someone who doesn't speak any other languages and was a very young woman at the time. You know, I was the bottom there, okay, and I worked there for a while. I basically just chopped up vegetables at prep time and then just like was around if someone spilled something and I needed to clean it up. Like that was my job. And I was not planning on working up the corporate ladder then, you know. I just wanted to experience it, you know, and it didn't matter if I was washing dishes. That was fine. That was what I wanted. Then I worked in a gelateria for a while, serving serving gelato, excuse me. Oh my god, that was actually sacrilege what I just did. It's not ice cream, it's gelato. Two extremely different things, okay? Seriously, I'm not joking about that. Anyway, I worked there for a while to get some, you know, retail/hospitality experience under my wing. Again, not planning on working my way up to be manager. I just wanted to experience that a little bit, that world a tiny bit. I then went to culinary school for a while. I did a lot of food things, actually. I went to culinary school. I just did a course. It was a couple months of a course. There was no way you could move up from the course. It was the course and that was it. And I was very happy with that. I was not planning on, you know, staying and working my way up again. I just wanted to dip my toe in and then move on to the next thing and really just take little bits of life and just like see how I felt, because I had never done this before ever. I shadowed a woman who made set designs, so she like built big designs for like theaters and photo shoots and stuff like that, and I literally just followed her around. I'm not doing anything. Again, no plan to, you know, become her full-time assistant and be in the set design industry. Like, I just wanted to dip my toe in. I just want to see. Again, literally had never ever done this before. Had never even considered that that was a career that could happen. And I just did a bunch of these weird little things for another year, I think. And after that, I didn't find my perfect career. I did not figure out exactly what I wanted to do. I had nothing figured out. But what I did have was I had like a little bit of experience to sort of base my judgments on a little bit more. I before was literally just taking shit out of the air and trying to make a life path out of no knowledge whatsoever of what the real world was like. And after this sort of weird year of being the most random person I could possibly be, no, I didn't know what career I wanted to do. I had figured zero out, but I kind of could start to think, I could start to like properly have a think. I also went to Brazil by myself for a couple weeks and just walked around the streets of Sao Paulo just to experience like actual different cultures without my parents like next to me. That was great. And I also traveled to Los Angeles in the same trip. I went from Brazil to Los Angeles and I spent a couple weeks in Los Angeles, again, just sort of like trying to be alone, trying to be independent, trying to learn about myself. Everything that I had known about myself was told to me by my friends or my parents or my teachers. Like, I really didn't know what I liked, what I didn't like. Like, I didn't know anything. Literally didn't know anything. So anyway, after this little adventure year, I felt a little bit more, I just felt like there was more of a horizon. I could see a little bit of light at the horizon because I had just had a taste of it, but I understood that life can go in a million different directions and you do not have to just follow this very specific timeline that you got in high school, okay? You do not have to follow that because most of the people I met during that sort of year of madness, went on 100,000 different pathways. A lot went to college, a lot didn't. Like, and these people were just living and enjoying their life. They were not rotting in bed every day, hungover, and then like waiting for 6 p.m. so they could start doing cocaine and drink vodka. Like, that's not what they were doing because they knew their life was not done just because they didn't go to college at 19, like I thought, which is why I spent so long literally rotting in bed and being like the worst version of myself I could possibly be. I just saw that that's not the only option. It's not college or literally just become a hermit. Like, it's not that or the other. And so I just felt a little bit more motivated. I felt like I had a little bit more of a pep in my step. I was able to really actually start thinking maybe like about what I wanted to do. Eventually, I realized that the place I really wanted to be was Los Angeles. So I ended up moving to Los Angeles. I got again, the lowest of the low job in a gallery. I was like the intern, but I was like not even the intern. There was like another intern, I think, like not trusted with anything. I basically just greeted people at the door. That was my job, I was at the bottom and I was not planning on moving up the ladder. I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna be here, more experience, I had before decided that I wanted to be back in the art world, and I needed that couple of years to not do anything to do with art in order to realize that I did want to do art, in the end. But people might say, oh, well, okay, so everyone was right, you should have done art. But if I had done art, if I had gone to college for art right after high school, I would have probably dropped out, or I probably would have dragged my way through it, or I just would have been so unhappy because I was just so rebellious. I was not ready, to take anything remotely seriously at all. And I needed that space and I needed to make the decision for myself. I think that's a huge, huge thing. When I was nearing the end of high school, I had all of these people telling me what they thought I should do. I had all these people being like, you should go here and there. And, my parents being like, oh, you're an artist. Like, you got to do this and that. And I had all these people talking in my ear. And I really didn't feel like I was making any decisions for myself. And I didn't like that, okay? And some people don't mind it. That's totally fine. But for me personally, I really struggle to have people tell me what to do. That is possibly a personality defect of mine that I might need to work on. But at the same time, it allowed me to find my confidence. And so in the end, I figured, okay, I kind of want to go back into the art world. And I feel very good about this because it's really my decision. Like, literally no one is telling me to do this. I figured out the job and I moved to LA, don't have any family or friends or anything in LA. Like, I'm totally on my own and like I feel like I need this. And I worked in the gallery for a bit and then COVID happened. Everything shut and I lost my job. I decided to stay in LA. I had met my now husband but boyfriend very soon after moving here. And I decided just to stay here and, you know, we would live together. And it was kind of crazy and like a mad idea because we really didn't know each other at all. But I was like, you know what, if I have to go back to London, like that's fine. I'll eventually go. But like, why not? Let's just like see how this goes. Once COVID was finished, I found myself as a jobless, sober woman who was dying for something to do. I had been confined to a house with this man for, I don't know, how fucking long was COVID? Like a couple years, wasn't it? That was insane. But I was at this point where I was like, I need something to do. So I was like, maybe I should get a job or I don't know, what should I do? And an opportunity presented itself for me after the couple years of COVID, and that was, do you want to go to college? And initially I was like, fuck no, because college is for 18-year-olds, okay? College is where you go right after high school. I'm now 24 years old. Like, I can't go to college at 24. Everyone's going to be a baby. I'm not going to have anything in common with anyone. How is it a achievement to go to college when you're so old? That's literally what I thought. Literally. Like, how is it an achievement when 18-year-olds are doing the exact same thing as me and I'm 24 years old? Like, that's not really something to feel proud about or whatever. I had all of these sort of fucking misconceptions about going to college as like an older person, 24 years old, literally so insane. Like, that was just where my mind was. I was very close-minded, very one opinion, and that was it kind of thing. And I was still very rebellious, and I still really found it difficult to listen to outside, you know, contributions. So anyway, after a lot of convincing myself, a lot of, you know, college visits and really trying to imagine myself in that place, I decided to say, fuck it, I'm gonna go because I don't have anything else going for me. I am extremely lucky to be given this opportunity. Like, not everyone gets this, and I don't have anything else going on in my life. How could I turn such a great opportunity down? And so in the end I went, and, you know, I was indeed the oldest person in my class, and that made me feel insecure for about an hour until I realized no one gives a fuck how old you are, okay? No one cares. Everyone just likes you. If you're a nice person, people just like you. They don't ask questions. No one even knew that I was older than anyone until like literally a year ago, and I've been at that school for like 3 years, and people were like, oh, what the fuck, you're 27? And I'm like, yeah. Oh my god, that's crazy. I literally thought you were the same age as us. Like, no one cares. Literally no one cares. And it's no less of an achievement if you go later in life. Like, that is the biggest misconception in the world, okay? Some people are not ready to go when they're 18. Some people are not ready, just like me. I was not ready. If I had gone at 18, I would be drinking every day in the dorms. I would never go to class. I would fail everything. Like, now I go, I spend more time there than I need to. I sit in my studio and I make work. You know, I am like all in it. I'm friends with the professors. You know, I want to hang out with people there. Like, I don't want to just finish class and then go home. Like, I am like there and I love it and I appreciate every second of being there. You know, even when it's hard and I'm like, fuck, I don't want to go to class. Like, I try and like just kick my mind out of that place. And it's one of the best experiences of my life, you know, and I'm so grateful I waited and went when I'm older, because also if I had gone when I was 18, I would have probably either never gone again after just absolutely screwing it up, or I would have just like taken a lot longer, which would have been totally fine too. I did actually go to a college in downtown Los Angeles for a year when I was 20, and that was not the best experience, to be honest. I consider that just like a fluke. I kind of just forget about that sometimes. Everyone was so nice. All the people were lovely. It was just like the school was... I guess what I'm trying to say is, here I am at 27, still in undergrad college, doing my undergrad degree. I am married, which was not in the suggested timeline at school whatsoever. I meant to get married after college. I decided to get married during college. I am doing things all jumbled up, and I have no issues with that whatsoever. Like, I might want to do my master's. That's going to be another couple years at school, but maybe I'll wait until I'm like in my 30s or even 40s. Like, who knows? I have no stress about timelines right now. I have just kicked all of these weird ideas that you need to have everything figured out in your 20s. People are like, oh, like half of the people in the world are saying, oh, your 20s are meant to be fun. They're meant to be for you to enjoy and like have a great time and make mistakes and mess up. And then there's the other half of the people saying like, oh yeah, you should do that. But just know that like the minute you turn 30, you need everything figured out. And it's like, okay, but if that's the case, like it doesn't take one day to figure your life out. It takes years and years. So you're saying to me like, enjoy my 20s and like make mistakes and have fun, but I meant to have everything figured out when I turn 30, but like, how's that going to work if I'm not meant to be like, planning things in my 20s? I'm meant to enjoy my 20. I like, what's going on? I'm so confused. And I literally have spent quite a long time trying to just knock these ideas from my head. I ended up going to college. That doesn't mean you have to. Literally doesn't matter at all. I go to art college. I mean, like, what the hell? What am I going to do with that degree? Purely going for the experience. I fucking love being there. It's great. I love the people. I love being around other people that make art. I love having my little studio space. I love being able to use the facilities, the ceramics labs and all of that stuff. Like, I just love being there. But it's like, I probably didn't need to go, at the end of the day, like I probably didn't need to go. And if you don't feel like it's right for you, then it's not right for you, Give it a go, try it. There's no problem in changing your mind and backing out. That is a huge thing that probably held me back from trying anything when I was a kid, because I really didn't want to give up, and I just felt like if I started something, I had to be fully committed to it. And it's just like, no, like you're a human being. You're allowed to change your mind. If you experience something and you decide you don't like it, like what are you going to do? You change your mind. You're not just going to like suffer through it. And what is the point in that? Sometimes life is a bit difficult, school can be hard and all of that. But I think if you're understanding the difference between like that and just like really actually feeling like you're suffering somewhere, like as long as you can understand the difference between those two things, like you're fine. Like if you really feel like you're suffering in something, and you should leave and switch things up if you can. I just felt like if I started something, I would have had to be 100% fully committed to it all the time, forever and ever and ever and ever. And that just scared me so much, because I was like, I don't know anything. Please don't make me make any decisions. This is insane. Like, please stop making me make decisions that I don't know. I'm not like qualified to make these decisions. Would you let me make decisions for you? No. So like, why am I doing it? I think it's so important to remember that just because you didn't go through this like specific timeline doesn't mean anything. Literally doesn't mean anything. Everyone's life is so different, and that's why this world is so amazing and full of a vast amount of cool, diverse people, like with 100,000 different types of stories. Like, ask anyone on the street, what does their life look like? And no one's is going to look the same. And I think that's what makes the world so special. We're not robots, we don't have to go like, we're not going to die if we don't live on this timeline. It's not a survival thing. It's literally just like what society came up with for us to do in order to like make it seem like we're, call it civilized and all of that, but not a caveman survival technique. This sort of timetable didn't come from, our guys, the cavemen, because in order to not get eaten by wild boars, you have to go to high school, then college, then get married and have kids. Like, that's not like human nature. Yeah, that's not human nature. Humans love order and schedules and understanding of like what's happening, and that's completely fine. But just understand that that sort of like lifeline is a suggestion only. And I know it is always advertised as the thing to do, but it's not. I know people who are 60 years old who changed careers to do something completely different to what they were doing for the previous lives, Like, I know people who get remarried at 70. I know people who have more kids at 50. Like, I know so many people now that I've been able to sort of get out in the world and like travel and like meet people on my own without just being like people in high school. And the world is made up of every type of person. Not all of these people were birthed from teenage years to adulthood through this very linear vaginal path. Sorry, I don't know what I'm saying now. It's just like, not everyone had to be birthed through the same experience in order to get to the other side, in order to become an adult from being a teenager. Like, there's other ways to go about it. You know, there's other ways to go about it. If you were someone who was 18 and can't wait to go to college, that's incredible. That's amazing. You know, that's your path. That's your life. But I have to say, like, it's no better than doing it another way. But it is great. And, you know, I envied people who really knew what they wanted to do when they were a teenager, you know? Like, how amazing is that? That you have it figured out. But I just want to say, like, that's not the norm. And I think people advertise life as that being the norm. Like, once you hit 18, you should know what you want to do with your life. Like, that's not the norm, okay? That's not the norm. Most people don't. Most people do not. And your 20s are for having fun, and your 20s are for experiencing things. Not to get, like, deep and sad, but there's no guarantee on how long any of us are really going to be around for. So how can we expect a one-size-fits-all life schedule if we don't even know how long any of us are going to be around for? How can I have the same timetable as someone who's going to live 20 years longer than me or 50 years less than me? Nothing is guaranteed. I don't like this idea that we have to suffer until we like can retire and then we can finally have fun. Like, that sucks. I really hate that idea. If you don't feel like you're mature enough for your age, like, fuck that, okay? I will be a 16-year-old girl till the day I die. Like, I don't even care, okay? Like, even when I have babies, they'll probably lap me in age. Like, there are no rules. There's just no rules. I don't know. You just do what the fuck you want. Don't stress yourself if you get a job because you need to make money, which most people do. Like, don't stress that the job that you get isn't specifically what you feel like you want to do for the rest of your life, you know? Because you're allowed to venture off on different pathways and figure different things out. Like, do not stress that you're like wasting your time doing a job that has nothing to do with the career you want, okay? Because life's all about different experiences, you know? And things can happen overnight or things can take years to happen, and it's all different, and no one's life is the same. And, you know, if you need to fucking work this job that you loathe to make a little money and you know it's not going to go anywhere, like, fuck it, you know? Fuck it. It's fine. Just take it as experience and understand that you're going to get to where you want to be, you know? And for some people, just as fast. I literally feel behind all the fucking time, and I need to spend a lot of time doing things I don't want to do, and I'm always so complainy and like annoying about it. But it's just like, if I just say, oh, we're just taking it all as life experience, then I kind of like feel a little bit more motivated to get it done. And not everything has to be a step towards this big magical golden egg of a plan. Life is full of ups and downs and roundabouts and forks in the road, and you just gotta go with it. Live the life that you want. Don't worry that you feel like people are ahead of you, behind you. Like, the timeline is different for everyone. The timeline is different for everyone. I feel behind all the time. You know, the careers that I want, there are people who are younger than me that have already succeeded, excelled in them. And that's stressful sometimes, but I just had to remind myself it's going to be different for everyone. Everyone is going to experience a completely different life. And that is what makes the world so amazing. That's what makes the world so magical. All I can suggest is sort of get out there, you know, talk to people of all ages. That's a really big suggestion I have. Before I got sober, for example, like, I kind of only spoke to people the same age as me. And now, because I'm in this community full of like so many different people, I am like best friends with those of all ages. And it's so nice to get a perspective on life from someone who is not your age. As a 20-something, you think you know everything. And so it's really quite interesting to speak to someone who is like, girl, you don't know shit. Like, honestly relieving. Honestly, it's kind of relieving to know that, to have someone older be like, girl, you don't know shit. Like, don't even try and think that you do. You don't know anything. So relax. You know, it's honestly relieving because I feel like I need to know everything and I don't know. I feel like I know everything, but I don't know anything. But it's only because I feel like I should know everything, but I shouldn't. You know, life is always changing. Life is always in flux. You're always going to be having to figure out new shit, okay? And it's people's first time doing things every single day. Once you feel like you've mastered one thing, you might have another thing thrown at you in life that you're going to have to figure out, and you're going to be starting from the beginning. And it's just like starting from the beginning, starting from the bottom, like doing it again and again. Just fucking live your life. That's it. Just don't live on anyone else's timeline, especially not society's timeline. Because who even is society? Like, who even made the rules? Literally. Like, what? Do your thing. Do your thing. I do be feeling like I'm behind still all the time. And I get that same feeling of like, I don't want to do anything because I'm already behind. So I have no motivation and I've already failed and I don't... Do I have sweat patches, by the way? Oh, no, I don't. Interesting. Grey is the worst for sweat. I don't know if anyone... So anyway, now I'm talking about random shit because I don't know what else to say. The message is this. Life is worth a living. No, life is your own. Your life is your own. And you're only going to be happy if you make your own decisions. And don't live for anyone else's approval. Be kind, be lovely, be nice, and live in the world understanding that you share it with many people. That's a big thing. But also live on your terms. Because you don't want to get to a point in your life and feel like you didn't do anything for yourself. No matter what you're doing, life is going to have ups and downs. And I think that during the downs, you know, during my downs, I feel comfort in knowing that I've been living my life the way I've been wanting to for at least a few years now. And, you know, that goes up and down. You know, I have my moments where I like slip back into sort of living the way I think I should live. But it's just, you know, having someone or something to remind you that none of that's true. None of that's real. Like, your life is yours. Just remember that. Your life is yours. That's all I really had to say today. I don't think of what made me think about that. I think I was having like a weird time the other day because I was like, oh, I'm married. And I'm like almost 30 and I'm still in undergrad college. And I just like suddenly was like, what the hell? That is not what they told me to do. Like, huh? But life is great. I mention this like literally in every video, but I'm always pro a gratitude list. I do one every day, or at least the days I remember, because I forget a lot of the time because I literally have the worst memory ever. But if you're feeling lost and feel like nothing's working out and you don't know what you want to do and whatever, like, I think that writing a gratitude list can really just like ground you and bring you back into the now and the present, because I know that like when your brain starts flying away into the future and you're like, wait for me, and it doesn't wait for you, and then you just panic. Writing a gratitude list is something that's really nice. It can really just bring you back into the room, bring your brain back, not have it stress about everything that's happening in the future. You know, stop comparing yourself to other people, be grateful for what you have, and you feel better. All right, I love you guys so much, and I'll see you next time. And if you haven't subscribed, please make sure you do, and you can see anytime I post anything, so please subscribe if you haven't already, and you can. And I love you guys very much, and I'll see you next time. Okay.